Hello.
How is everyone doing this Sunday? Happy Sunday.
It's Sunday. What happened to the rest of the week?
Oh, I don't know. It disappeared. It disappeared.
Just keeps doing that. It's not cool.
No, it's not cool. I don't know why we have to live with that kind of a reality where Sunday just happens and then it's over and then you blink and it happens again. So.
I think Sunday's the only day of the week anymore.
Well, I'll tell you, doing this podcast, it certainly feels like it. I'm very consumed by what we're about to do.
Yeah.
Monday through Saturday. And then
Yeah.
Sunday happens. It's like, all right, here we go.
We're basically just preparing for the podcast all week long, and then the podcast happens. And then we just prepare for the next one.
Yep.
All week.
It's time to go.
Welcome to the new normal.
It's so true. So let me get my spiel disappeared.
Oh man.
Yeah. That's okay.
That darn spiel again. Always disappearing.
That darn spiel.
Well, I am really excited about the show today.
Yeah, it's gonna be really good today, I think.
I mean, it has potential to be.
Oh yeah, it always has potential to be. But I think, I usually think they're gonna be good. It's just a matter of, us getting.
Yeah, making all the pieces work.
All the pieces have to work. Yeah. So,
well, Ed, you're basically your favorite singer in the whole world is coming on our show today.
It's true. It's true.
Nothing against all the other singers, including myself, but Ed really, really loves today's singer.
Yeah.
So I obviously I do too, but
yeah,
I know he's extra excited about it. He just cannot get enough of her voice.
No, I really can't. So with that said, welcome everybody to Crimes Against Folk. I'm Edward Williams.
I'm Ashley Norton.
Thanks everybody for being here today. Just to remind you, we are coming to you live on Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube from our separate studios in California and Arizona. We do this with the help of Jamulus for real-time audio communication, Larix Broadcaster for video, Restream for multiple outlet streaming, and OBS for live production. We edit down this podcast, and it appears at the podcast outlet of your choice on Tuesdays. So make sure to subscribe and follow Crimes Against Folk on your favorite podcast app. Leave us a like, give us a review if you dig what you're listening to here. And we try to make this a really fun experience. So if you are really interested in seeing how it all goes down, also join us on Sundays like we're doing today, and you can see how the sausage gets made, as it were.
Yeah. If you guys really like us, too, you can leave us a review if you want.
Yeah, please do.
Where do you leave reviews?
Just
Apple.
wherever. Yeah, anywhere.
Yeah, anywhere. Facebook, Apple, Spotify?
Yeah. All of the podcast outlets have ways to leave, podcast apps have ways to leave a review or leave a like or subscribe or follow. So, yeah, do that, and you'll get notified as soon as a new podcast episode goes up.
Yep. So we have a few treats for you today. I know I'm really excited about today's topic, today's tips and tricks section, which apparently is very hard for me to say, so that's going to go very well later. it's one of my favorite things to talk about. Ed and I do have quite a bit of success in this area, so I feel like very comfortable in talking to you all about it and giving you some great tips and tricks. So specifically, if you're a musician, I highly recommend you stick around and listen to this section. If you are a fan or just somebody who's interested in it, I also think it's going to be very interesting to know how we did it, because we will be talking about endorsements.
Woohoo!
Yay! So, Ed, just a quick background on that. Ed and I have been sponsored by Subaru Europe. We have been sponsored by Avian Guitars, Martin Guitars, Eddie Finn Ukuleles, and more, which I'll go over later. So I, again, highly recommend that you stick around for that section. And also, like I mentioned earlier, and I don't believe we've actually introduced our special guest who is going to be coming up. So, Ed, I'll let you take that one.
Today, we are super excited to have the Singer and the Songwriter. The Singer and the Songwriter are a fantastic duo out of California. We met them at a Far West, I believe the first Far West. Was it the first or the second one? I got to remember.
It was the first one, because didn't we do... Yeah, I think it was the first one.
I think it was the first one. Either way, we met them at Far West, and I went into one of the Guerrilla showcases and saw them, and they just completely destroyed me. It was one of the coolest things.
In the good way.
Yeah, absolutely. It was one of the coolest performances I'd ever seen, and I couldn't stop thinking about this duo. So we're super excited to have them on the show. I'm curious to catch up with them and see what they've been up to, because we haven't really talked to a lot of these people since the Far Wests. So it'll be nice to catch up with folks. So
which is cool, because I feel like we chase each other. Well, when we were all on tour, we were chasing each other around the country. I would see the Singer and the Songwriter posters all over the place, because they tour just about as much as we do, I think. And they're San Francisco based. And then it was really cool to finally meet them and be like, wow, they're really good. So we're excited to introduce them, and we're actually going to play one of their videos today as well.
Yep.
And on that note, should we play a song, Ed?
Sure, let's do that. Let us do that.
We're going to start things off with a cover. One of our favorites. An oldie, but a goodie. This is also one we haven't done in a while, huh?
Yeah, it's been a while.
This is by Crosby, Stills, Nash, and Young. This is called Ohio.
All right, ready?
Hey, wait, I have a quick question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Are we starting with Find the Cost of Freedom?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That would have been awkward. Okay, got it.
Okay.
Wait, you want to give me a note real quick here? Okay, thank you. Just making sure I was right.
All right. Find the cost of freedom buried in the ground. Mother Earth will swallow you. Lay your body down. Find the cost of freedom buried in the ground. Mother Earth will swallow you. Lay your body down.
is ending, spring's coming. We're finally on our own. This summer I hear the drumming. Forted in Ohio. 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 That song is so much fun.
Yeah.
I absolutely
fun
love
to play.
performing that song. Yeah. That's a good
I'm
one.
retuning my guitar real quick before I forget.
Those are things that'll happen. I'm kind of stuck with my guitar right now.
What do you mean? Oh,
Well, my headphones.
you're actually stuck.
Yeah, I think I have an escape route, but I need a second.
These are the things we have to deal with as guitarists. Retuning and getting tangled up in our guitars.
Whoa. Oh, it's not gonna work.
The struggle is real. You good?
I don't know. I feel like everything just shifted. Did something move?
I don't know. I don't think so. Did
Okay.
your green screen?
Well,
move?
so I have an exciting thing. Yeah, maybe I'm not sure if my green screen moved or if my camera moved.
Oh,
I think it was-
I couldn't tell.
I don't know. Oh man. Oh, I think it was my camera. So I have a house guest, which is exciting
Oh, yeah.
because, and we're doing it like super, super safe. Like, it's a very, very good friend of mine who's been in quarantine for 3 months. And Brad and I are basically in quarantine and we're being super safe. And so he's decided to come visit and he wears a mask inside the house, and we've been having our meals out on the patio and just going for social distance walks and everything. It's been really, really nice. But I had to move because I wanted to give him the guest room which is where my studio normally is, but I wanted to give it to him entirely to himself just because of, COVID. And that way I'm not like in his room. And I had to move my studio out to the living room, which is where I am now.
Oh.
But it's like, it's been interesting. That's all I could say.
I didn't
about it.
realize you had to do that. That's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I figured it's good practice,
Yeah.
but I still don't know what to do with my guitar right now. So it's like the most awkward thing ever. Oh, here we go. I'm going to put that there. Da-da-da.
Oh, did you figure it out?
Maybe. Ta-da.
Yay.
Okay.
All right. Well, let's move on to show and tell. And it is going to be myself. I'm just going to do the show and tell this week, but this is going to be a pretty neat one.
Yeah.
Mainly because Ashley didn't know I had this video.
Yeah.
I'll do a short little video. Make sure I got it queued up here. I'm going to throw that. All right. Okay. Here we go. So here is my show and tell video. I'll turn it down. All right, so that's where it loops there. And so, first of all, what do y'all think about that? we have a lot of recordings, video recordings of Ashley singing during tracking, but we don't have very many of Ashley playing guitar during tracking.
Because I often don't.
Because it's just not a thing that typically we do. Like typically I do a lot of the guitars, whether it's acoustic or electric. We both do our vocals, obviously, but the interesting
Ed's a
thing
better
here,
guitar player than me. I mean, that's seriously
okay.
just like really, it's true. And you know what? Why? So typically, I prefer him to record my guitar parts on our albums because he's just going to do it better.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Anyway, I just want to interrupt with that, and then it's your story, so you continue on from there.
Well, it's a good interjection because in this specific instance, I was not the better guitar player.
Mm-hmm.
The reason we had Ashley do this, I think I did a track of guitar for this, but I had you do one as well because I just couldn't get the rhythm at the time that you were playing that sort of kind of, muted beat one, and 1 and 3. And that was just something at the time I couldn't really get down.
It was too easy for you.
Yeah, apparently it was too easy for me. So I decided to say, all right, Ash, you're up on this one. And so we sat down. This was at a friend's house in Carlsbad. And what you see on the left-hand side of the screen are various reptiles in their
Mainly snakes.
in their bins, and spiders on top of that, pet spiders.
Yep.
So Ashley was not sleeping in this room. I was.
Yep. They're like, we have 2 rooms. One of them has a bunch of snakes in it, and one of them doesn't. Who gets what? I'm like, well, I'm gonna make one request. I don't really have a problem with snakes. I actually think they're cool, but
Yeah.
I just could not imagine sleeping in a room with them. So good for you, Ed.
It was fine. It was actually kind of interesting. The other thing to note in this video, well, 2 other things. One, I cannot find these headphones that she's wearing anywhere for the life of me.
It's so sad.
They're my favorite pair of headphones, and they have disappeared to the ether.
I'm so sorry.
That's okay. So it goes when you're moving around the country for 5 years. These tend to go missing. But the other thing I'd like you to notice is if you can tell, it may be a little hard to tell in the video, I'm not sure, but if you can tell on Ashley's left hand, as she uses her index finger to bar, it'd probably be...
There we go.
Yeah, right around there.
Well, sorry, I think I'm on a different time.
Yeah, right around there. She's still wearing Band-Aids on her hands.
Yep.
And so it was really impressive that you were able to do this recording very well, very cleanly, still with 4 or more Band-Aids on your hands. So why were you wearing these Band-Aids?
Yeah, Ed shared this video with me this week, which I completely forgot about until I was like, I wonder what video he's going to play. I have the worst memory. And then I was like, oh yeah, he already asked me to talk about this today, and I already forgot. So basically, for about 10 years, I had a autoimmune disease. I guess I technically still have it, but I am in remission, and it's called Acropustulosis. It's really, really painful. It's super, super rare, and it is in the family of psoriasis, but it's not actually psoriasis. You treat it like psoriasis, but it acts very differently. And forewarning, this is really gross, but I'll try to make it not so gross. You can see I have pretty normal fingernails right now, but these 2 fingers and these 2 fingers for, like I said, about 10 years, but the last 3 years in particular were really, really bad, and it was starting to spread down one finger. I would get these little pustules that would form underneath my nail beds, which was just basically white blood cells, because my body thought that I was sick when it wasn't, so it was like attacking my fingertips, because in autoimmune it just picks something random, and that's the thing that it decided to pick. And so these pustules would form underneath my nail beds, I'm trying to find a non-gross way of saying the rest of this.
There isn't really.
Yeah. Just basically like separating my nail beds from my fingers and causing a lot of infection and a lot of pain.
Yeah.
And so in order to combat the pain and not have my nails fall off, I would bandage my fingers every single day, and just whatever Band-Aids I found just regular old Band-Aids work the best, honestly. It would just kind of like put some pressure on it to keep it together. But I mean, everything hurt. Everyone's like, how did you play guitar during all that time? And I was like, well, how did I do anything really?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, washing the dishes was not only painful, but a pain, because I preferred to not change my bandages as much as I could, because that was like the most painful thing to happen. So anytime I would accidentally slam my finger on the table too hard, even just like a little tap, or reaching into the bottom of my purse, making a bed, like all the things that you take for granted, you just don't think about, were really, really painful for me. And I just did them because you learn to just do things when you have an illness. I think a lot of you watching probably can relate to that statement a lot. I know a lot of people have a lot of stuff going on, especially anymore with this crazy autoimmune world that we live in. Mm-hmm. So luckily for me, I went on a drug called Humira, which I'm still on. It's a biologic, and my fingers stopped the pustules stopped forming underneath my nail beds in 2 days, and my fingers cleared up in 1 week of like all infection, and they basically went completely back to normal in about 3 months. So it's an injection, and it's a very intense drug to be on, but yeah, it was a really, really painful time, and that doesn't mean that I'm in remission forever. If I can't, it's a very expensive drug, Humira, so if I can't stay on it, then I will, unfortunately, go back to that problem. Every once in a while, I do notice a little pustule forming, and then it typically just goes away in my next injection. So who knows how long? I mean, I've been in remission for, it's probably been about 4 years by now, maybe, I think.
I think 3 or so.
Only 3?
This particular video was taken in 2016. So it's possible it was right before you started. It was in February of 2016.
Yeah.
So it might have been right before you started, because I remember you started in February.
Yeah.
So it's possible you went back to Scottsdale right after this, and then you started.
Yeah.
So yeah, it could be 4 years.
Yeah, but I mean, even like traveling, I would have to carry this big thing of Band-Aids with me everywhere. I mean, it was such a nightmare.
And like when a certain brand of Band-Aid would go off the market, I know you get really frustrated, because then you'd have to find another one that would work just as well. Yeah,
that was the moment, I think, where I'm like, okay, because I knew Humira was a possible not cure isn't the right word, but thing that will send you into remission treatment. And it's and I knew, but it's really, like I said, it's really intense, and you have to, I mean, if you ever get, any other illness, you have to get off the Humira immediately, because your body isn't able to heal as quickly. So I do need to be more cautious about COVID-19.
Yeah.
I need to be cautious about colds, and when I get in sinus infections, they're pretty fierce. So there's just like little things, God forbid I ever get cancer, I would have to get off of it to treat myself. If I ever got valley fever.
Right.
You know what? We're going to save that story for another time. Just logging that one, because that's an interesting
mess.
Yeah, so there are things that I have to deal with, and sometimes just random situations where I can't get the drug, and it just becomes an absolute nightmare. So it's not an easy thing, but I'm just so grateful that I'm not in pain anymore. Honestly, it was so awful for so many years, and you just learn to deal with it. And for as many years as I get to be out of pain, that's what I'm grateful for, because like I said, this doesn't guarantee that it's forever.
I couldn't believe it. I remember when I was there when you got the first injection.
Yeah.
And then just, because I was curious about what it was going to do, and what was going to happen. And then I think, 2 days later, you sent me a photo of your fingers.
Yeah.
And they were nearly healed. They were nearly not healed, but all the pustules were nearly gone. Yeah. And I was like, I couldn't even believe it. It was
Nobody
amazing.
could. I like, seriously, my doctors and my nurses could not believe how well I responded to on Humira, because unfortunately, I think a lot of people don't respond like that. And I tried everything else. I mean, you name it, every diet under the sun, like eliminating this and eliminating that from my diet, UV light therapy, you name it, I tried it, because I just wanted Humira to be the last result, because it's so intense. And literally nothing worked except for that. And a lot of people, there are a lot of horror stories, like some people just don't respond to it very well. In fact, a lot of people go on it and it makes them worse, which was a really scary thought. And I think that's the reason I didn't want to get on it the most, because I was like, if I go on this drug, and what if I wake up tomorrow and my whole hand's covered in pustules? Like that would be a nightmare. So I'm really, really lucky. And I do hear I'm part of a couple of support groups for PPP is another version of this drug, palmar plantar pustulosis, and that's the more common version of acropustulosis, which is the the super rare one that I have. And a lot of those folks will say very, very scary things like that about how bad it is, and they have very bad things to say about Humira. So I don't want to be like, oh, it's perfect, it's amazing, because it's not for some people.
We're not shilling for this. It's just your mileage may vary. That's kind of how a lot of these biologics are, because they have to be made somewhat specifically.
Yeah. So. But that said, I guess I wouldn't change a thing. Like, I would do it like I did. Try everything else first. Try a diet, because diet works for some people.
Yep.
Try eliminating certain foods. Try UV light. Try different creams and whatever. And if none of that is working, then I would recommend trying Humira, because maybe, if you're not responding to all that other stuff, you might just respond to this.
Yeah. And the great thing now is that there are a lot more biologics entering the market. So if Humira isn't the one that works, there's very likely going to be an alternative that might. So
yeah, and Humira's been in a lot of trouble lately.
Well, yeah.
So they're losing and I think they're losing their patent. So I think they already did in Europe, and so pretty soon the price of it will start coming down here in America, because it's absolutely insane. It costs about just around $2,000 per injection, and you have to give yourself 2 injections per month.
Yeah.
How am I able to afford this? I am on the government state insurance, which pays for it, which is a miracle in itself.
Yeah.
So I know, again, the other problem is a lot of people can't get on it. They can't afford to be on the drug, and that's just really unfortunate to me. It really, really makes me feel really bad. I've had a few people reach out to me, actually, because the National Psoriasis Foundation, and we'll have to find that link, Ed, and maybe share it in the show notes, but they did publish an article I wrote on my experience with it. And I had some people reach out to me, and they can't get a hold of it at all. I mean, they're like, I'm not poor enough and I'm not rich enough. I can't afford it. Isn't that crazy?
Oh boy.
Yeah, it makes me feel really bad, but that's going to change soon. So, and keep your eyes. And if you do struggle with psoriasis or a version of psoriasis, or one of the other things that Humira does help, like Crohn's is another thing people take it for. I would suggest keeping an eye out for the other stuff that's coming up, or if hopefully it'll drop in price here soon. So yeah, but again, that is part of and Ed, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think my guitar skills drastically improved after I went into remission for on my fingers.
No, they did. Yeah. Because I think you were able to do some things that you weren't able to do before.
Those bandies get in the way.
Yeah. Like better barring, other chord shapes that, again, the bandages would have gotten in the way of. So I think, it definitely improved. But again, I just was really happy with the recording that we did here in this video, and that's what wound up on the album for Hand of Fate.
It was exciting. It was the first time that I typically, because I perform my own guitar live, and I typically, when I've made albums in the past, usually have a guitar player that I think is better than me, specifically Ed in this scenario. I usually have them replace my parts just because I think it sounds better, and now I'm doing less and less of that. Since this was the first time my guitar made it on an album, my own guitar playing, and it's made it on a bunch of stuff since.
Yeah, we did. You did for Vagabond Road, right?
Yep.
I think we kept that one.
Yep. Vagabond Road. I think I did Ghost. I did Ghost of Germantown,
That's
though.
right.
I think you doubled it.
Ghost of Germantown. Yeah.
I played. I think I played on Razor.
Yes.
And this is off of our most recent album, so at least half of that.
Yeah. So that is my show and tell. Ashley rocking out on guitar in the studio. That was, again, that was for Hand of Fate, the song Hand of Fate, that's on our EP Clockwork Heart. So go back and listen to it and hear Ashley's awesome guitar playing.
Thanks, Ed.
All right. Where are we at here?
I think we've got a
video.
We've got a video.
Oh, yes, we do have a video. Woohoo!
Yeah, so about once a show, we pull a video out of the vault and to play for you guys. And some of them are going to be our official music videos. Sometimes it's just a little talking piece that we had buried somewhere. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's a live piece, and it's just going to change every time. And I found this one actually because my friend Tracy Smith had sent this to me recently. And she's like, remember this? And she sent me the video, and I was like, of course I remember that. And it was an exciting show for us. You'll hear there is a lot of chatter in the background. There's a lot of audience noise, which is towards the beginning of our career, I guess, when we were playing less concerts and more just shows. But this in particular was more of an event, so people were out and kind of mingling a lot. So regardless, we were playing on it was a really exciting show for us because we were invited to play this San Diego local show with a bunch of really amazing San Diego bands on it, and we were super honored to be invited by Catherine Beeks, who is a really good friend of ours. And she's originally she was just going to have us play in the lobby, and she ended up squeezing us for a little set on the main stage just because she loved us so much, which was so exciting that we got to play at the Music Box in San Diego, which is a beautiful venue. So we were playing on this gorgeous stage with, and it was a packed house. They're very chatty, but we absolutely enjoyed it. We had a lot of friends come out. And Tracy Smith, we met her this night. She became a really good friend of ours after that. Mm-hmm. And she filmed our set. And this is a song that she had edited and put together for us. So we thought we'd share that with you guys today.
Don't you call me a kid, I'm just like you, eating this crumb with a silver spoon. So get back in line for your pot of gold, 'cause fortune favors the old, fortune favors the old. Throw your things in the car, leave a long drive ahead. Why don't we take it easy and stay here instead? That's not the American way, or so I'm told. this hell. Oh, out of this hell. It's a hard knock life, but you do it again. For the ones that you love, for the folks in the stands. If there's one thing I've learned after we've begun, fortune favors the ones. Fortune favors the ones who have come to and hold to impossible standards. Fortune favors the ones. Inventors, investors, and presidents. Fortune favors the ones. Favors the ones.
All right, here we go. I'm going to switch back. All right, so that was a live version of Fortune Favors that we played at the Music Box in San Diego. Our good friend Tracy Smith shot that video and sent it along to us. That was really nice of her to do that.
Yeah.
I was really... That's a very good video, too. I was actually really surprised to see how good that turned out.
Yeah. Yeah,
So-
Tracy's definitely got the eye. And it was cool because we met so many fantastic musicians and friends at that show that we're still in contact with today, which is seriously one of my favorite things about events with other musicians, because we're all out playing shows so much we don't get to actually interact with each other. Which, speaking of, we have some, which is a great segue. Speaking of musicians that we got to meet at a really cool conference called Far West, and we've heard their name before, but we had never heard them before until we happened to catch their Gorilla Showcase, and we're absolutely mesmerized. So give a warm welcome to the Singer and the Songwriter.
All right, I'll switch over here. 1 second. I have to move you over to the other screen here. Skype, there we go. There we go. And here's all three. There we are. Hello. I'm going to share this here so hopefully you can see us.
I can just see you, Ed.
Okay.
That's fine. It's not necessary.
Yes.
So just to explain this once more, Ed and I are actually streaming here from different locations. He is in Arizona and I am in California, and we can't really see each other. We can definitely hear each other. So there's a singer and the songwriter. I can see you guys because to me, everyone's on this massive delay. So I can hear you guys in real time, but it's actually like 10 seconds later on the video for me, which is pretty fun. I guess.
Yeah, so that's just how it goes. How are y'all doing?
We're doing okay. We're hanging in there.
Yeah, it's kind of... Yeah, everybody's kind of hanging in there. Say again?
We are in California. We're in the North Bay, just north of San Francisco.
Oh, fantastic. That's right. That's right. How are you finding it up there? You comfortable? Doing okay?
Yeah, it's a nice place to be quarantined. Like being in California and being locked down is a definite privilege.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we're going to be relocating to Oakland within
wow.
a month or so. So that'll be a new home, but just over the bridge.
Oh my goodness.
Nice.
That's great. We have I guess well Ash has some family nearby. Maybe we should try to get them out if you're when everybody starts playing again, we'll try to get them out to you. They live pretty close to Oakland, so
Yeah, someday in the unknown future when we're all playing music again and able to attend shows.
So thank you both again for joining us as Rachel Garcia on your left and Tutran on your right. They are the singer and the songwriter. And what we like to do when we have guests on the show is have them tell a story, some kind of interesting story that maybe you've run across in your travels gigging. So I'll let you take it away.
Okay. Well, we gave this a lot of thought. There are probably like more exciting stories than this one, but this one feels like very all-encompassing tour-wise.
Mm-hmm.
It like hits a lot of bases.
Yeah, it hits a lot of base. Yeah, it does encompass a lot of what happens on tour, namely because the story starts in Austin, Texas, where we played a gig that nobody came to.
Zero people.
Which is like par for the course for a lot of times. And not only did nobody show up because it was like the middle of summer in Austin in an outdoor show, but then like that day, like a giant rainstorm like hit as well.
Oh,
so
jeez.
We basically were rained out of our already empty show, and then the next day we were driving from Austin to Little Rock, Arkansas, because we had to like book it across the country to make it to the East Coast. And we were in our Prius, which was our touring vehicle, and right around Texarkana.
Yeah. So I should also say that I am our driver. I do like 100% of our driving.
I'm the same for Witherwood.
Yep.
So Tu's next to me, like booking shows and doing like a remote gig and corresponding with everyone, and I'm the driver. So it's my responsibility to keep an eye on the gas. So this particular day, I was listening to the Tanari Wen record, and I was just like really having a really fun, good music time.
Mm-hmm.
And I was watching the gas get lower and lower, but still feeling like I can get there. Like it's I'll see a gas station soon, and like it'll line up. It always lines up, and then it kept getting lower, and I like looked back at it, and the gas light had come on, and then I said to Tu, like, we need a gas station right away, and the closest one was like 20 miles away at that point. And so we, we're just like, I was just like white knuckling the steering wheel and driving down the road, like fingers crossed, hoping to make it. And we turned off the highway where this gas station was. Like we made it to the turnoff. And then,
but the gas station was still like 12 miles away.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And it's just like an empty, like the highway was empty and this road was empty. So we just turned down, and then all the lights in the Prius came on, like, buzzers and like, wee, like, and it just was shutting off. It had like gotten to the very last sip of gas. And so we pulled over, and I have a AAA card, so like, it's okay, I'm feeling okay. And so I called AAA, and because we were so far in the middle of nowhere, and it was after business hours, so the sun was starting to go down, the AAA person said, well, the soonest you is like 8 a.m. tomorrow morning. And we didn't know what to do. So we just wrote, like, we couldn't really walk to go get gas because it was really far away, and then we'd be separated. and then AAA wasn't coming, and so we just kind of were sitting there like, and it was getting darker and darker, and it started to feel like pretty ominous. Like, okay, we're sleeping here. We're sleeping here on the side of the road. It's fine.
And it wasn't like we had turned off the major highways. We were on this like kind of side highway where there were no cars coming. Like we saw a car once every 15 minutes.
Oh
maybe.
man.
So we would look for cars to drive by, and this big truck drove by. And we thought, like, is that maybe AAA maybe is coming? Like, is that maybe what we're looking for? No. And then we see the truck come back. So we see the same car pass us again. And this guy pulls up with like a cigarette hanging out of his mouth. He's like, y'all all right? And two said, yeah, we're fine. We just ran out of gas. And he said, I thought it was kind of weird that you were parked here. And he's like, I actually have, I keep a filled gas can in my car.
Oh.
And like, I'm going to give you the gas, and the station's down the road a couple miles. And he's like, I have a cigarette still, so you'd better pour the gas in the car. So gives to the gas can, and he's just, he said that he was also traveling, and that he was do you remember this part?
Yeah, so he was, because he gave me the gas canister because he's like, I got to finish this cigarette. And I couldn't for the life of me figure out how to even get the spout in the canister. And he was like, that's all right. And then he puts out his cigarette, and he's filling it up. And he said, we were like, thank you so much. We're so grateful. And he said, well, he had a job in, I think it was Amarillo. So he was coming back from Amarillo, but he was going to take his time because he didn't have another job. And right at the kind of the last minute, as he was deciding to kind of like take a leisurely like route, he gets a call from his boss that he needs to be somewhere like the next morning. So instead of taking his leisurely route, he had to route through this this weird part of the highway that he wouldn't have otherwise.
Huh.
So he's like, because he got this last minute call and he took the job that he didn't really want to take, that's why he passed us. And so he explained this, and he was like, yeah, I guess everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
And then he like wouldn't accept any cash for the gas. And we're like, okay, well, then I'm giving you all 3 of our CDs. Like, I don't know if this is your thing, but here's all of our records. And he said, I'm just going to follow you for a couple minutes to make sure that you're okay. And then, so we started the car back up, and we headed down the road, and then I saw him for a minute, and then I looked back in the rearview mirror, and he was gone. Wow. And it was just a really moving moment, because he didn't need to stop. And like, our paths crossed at this really crucial moment. And, I think probably on paper, that man and us don't agree about much.
Yeah.
I'm guessing that we have a lot of like different views and different ways that we live, but he stopped and helped us, and he could tell we have a blue Prius, so I just found that to be like really demonstrative of how touring often is, of like, there's all these like really hard moments. It's really uncomfortable. Touring's really uncomfortable. And then there's a lot of like, because things are uncomfortable, I feel like we're really open to kindness, both like giving and receiving, and really just aware when people are like extra kind or extra accommodating, or when they don't need to be. Like, you're kind of receptive to being moved. And so, yeah, I just
Larry.
His name's
Larry was his name.
Yeah.
Larry.
Yeah.
That's wow. What a fantastic story.
That
Like,
gave me
that's-
chills. That's so moving. I mean, especially right now, we need more stories about human kindness, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 absolutely.
Definitely.
It's that almost happened to us one time in Texas. I think that's just how it goes in that state.
It's a big state.
Yeah.
Yeah, something about Texas and running out of gas.
Yeah, it almost happened to us once. I think when we were going to, very likely when we were coming back from, or going to South by, or coming back from South by, or something like that. So, thank you very much for sharing that story. That was a much needed injection of positivity into
Yeah.
everybody's day.
You know, I've said it before and to various people, and I'll say it to you guys now. It's if you want your faith in humanity restored, then go on a music tour. Because
Yep.
I feel like I've never come across such human kindness as I do when I'm on tour. Whether it's, you know, the guy who pulls over to help you out, and nobody stops for anybody anymore. Everyone just assumes that you're good, you know. So that's amazing that he did stop. Or, you know, somebody allowing you to come into their home because you need a place to stay for the evening, or share a meal because you can't afford one because you just you only made $5 on the last gig. Like, there's so many of these stories, which is one of the reasons we wanted to invite our friends to come on and tell stories of their own, because we know so many of the amazing touring artists like yourselves out there have these stories. So I just want to say thank you for sharing that. That was really beautiful.
Oh, our pleasure.
Yeah. Since everybody is locked down, I was curious. What's a thing you've done to kind of innovate or reinvent yourselves, or keep doing what you're doing during the lockdown?
Yeah, good question. Well, I think along with everybody else, when lockdown started, we were definitely in like this existential panic of like, oh God, what are we gonna do? And then we described it as the thing that characterized it. We were just eating nachos, like just to soothe ourselves. Nothing else to do, so we just put cheese on chips and just like, this is life now. So there was a good week of that, and then Rachel came up with and then everybody's, you know, we're like, okay, well, we're gonna live stream our shows and stuff like that, and we were like, should we? And I don't know, do we know how to live stream? Do we have the equipment? And Rachel had this really great idea one day where she was like, we should be wandering minstrels.
I love it.
And I was like, what do you mean we should be wandering minstrels? And she's like, well, maybe we could just like get in the car and like bring music to people while they're sheltered in place. So we came up with this idea called the Songmobile. And we have one like wireless Bose speaker that just runs on it can run for like 6 hours on just a battery. So we put that in the car. We plug a mic into it and a guitar into it, and we put something up on our website that just allowed people to schedule, you know, a concert for us to just basically drive up in front of their house. We open our car, the back hatch of our car, and we never get out of the car, and they sit on their porch or wherever.
Wow.
And we just play for like 20, 30 minutes for them, and then we go on to the next. So we did kind of like a little mini tour of just like our immediate vicinity. That's one thing we did.
Yeah, I was wondering how much were you doing, like several of those in a day, or would you just do one a day, or how frequent was it?
Yeah, so the first like 2 weekends, so we did, if you're familiar with how the Bay Area is set up, so we did one, like Fridays were the North Bay, and then Saturdays were San Francisco, and Sunday was the East Bay. And so people would select what day they were based on their location. And 8 or 9
Each day.
So we would play for like 30 minutes and then drive for 30 minutes. And then we would play for 30 minutes and drive. And we brought like a cooler with our lunch. And
Oh, yeah, wow.
it was very intense. And so we were like, we need to scale back. So we started with like 9 a day, and we scaled back to probably like 4 or 5.
Oh my gosh.
But in total, over 2 weekends, we played 50 of them.
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
It
Oh
was
my
like
God.
a full-blown tour.
Yeah.
Wow. That's incredible.
That's insane. First of all, I commend you for just driving in San Francisco, period.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was donation based, which was great because that, you know, people who lost their jobs also deserve to hear music. So we, you know, people were allowed to give whatever they wanted or not at all, and everything really shook out that way. So we were glad that was the model that we worked with.
Well, I think my favorite like moment that felt like it really encapsulated like the whole project was that there was a woman who ordered the songmobile for her friend, and her friend was an 80-year-old woman, and she had really bad asthma, so she literally couldn't leave her house ever. And she was in this tall, high-rise apartment in San Francisco, like right on the main, like on Van Ness. So it was like a really busy main thoroughfare. And we pulled up on the street, and we put our speaker on the ground and pointed it up, and we played, and she popped her head out. And everybody in the building also popped their heads out, and they were listening. And some people were holding their computers because they were Skyping with somebody from somewhere else, and holding their computers and phones out the windows. It was like really moving and beautiful to see that. Yeah,
That's really cool. Wow. Like it's just I love that. It's almost feels like it's out of a movie, you know, when someone's playing and you see people kind of just hover around, you know.
It's like the modern day version of Say Anything, but for music.
Yeah, well put.
Yeah. Basically, you're winning over the hearts of the fans. This is seriously the coolest. This is the coolest thing I've heard any musician do during lockdown.
Yeah.
I thought we were cool for starting a podcast from different places. That's cooler.
Yeah, objectively cooler, I think.
That must be that must have been really rewarding too. Now, are you still doing these, or was it just like for a period of time?
Yeah, so we did like just over 2 weeks of that, and then you know, then the COVID numbers started to really ramp up, and we just didn't want to be the reason that anybody got sick. So we put it on pause, and every now and then we keep going, should we start it up again? When is the right time? You know, I think we could. We had really strict rules, and we had a phone call with each person that booked it the night before, and like the guidelines that we set up were really intense, and we had to drive away from a couple of them. Like a couple folks didn't follow the rules or like invited their neighbors, and we just like we would say like from our window like, sorry, we cannot play if you gathered a crowd, and like
Right.
So I think now we would adjust it more to be pretty mask heavy. But yeah, trying to figure out how to do it again, because I think there's still a great need for live music and music in person. And, you know, I don't think that we're going to be doing like a tour until way next year, maybe.
Maybe.
You know? So maybe. So
Yeah.
I think we will need to make accommodations around that, and I'm hoping that we can start it up again. I think that maybe we will in the next couple of months. We're hoping to move in the next month, and then maybe after that. But yeah,
Fingers crossed, because that's a really great thing you guys are doing.
Yep.
One of the other questions I had was, and this can relate to the lockdown or not, but what is your kind of personal relationship with creativity? I mean, is it sort of a contentious relationship? Is it an amicable one? Is it both, or something else entirely? How do you both relate to creativity?
whoa, I think separate, like
Yeah, we
so
have very
differently.
different.
Yeah. So let's see. I relate to it as a very like it's there sometimes and it's completely gone other times. And it feels like something that I have to catch. So it does feel like if I set up the environment that creativity can grow in, I'm more likely to be able to catch something creative.
Mm-hmm.
I have this belief that like creativity is more something that comes from outside myself, and it's my job to catch it, rather than it's something that I do. But I would say like the whole first part of quarantine, you know, you're just in this survival mode. So creativity works really well often if you're bored and you feel safe. So I didn't feel safe, right? The whole, like, we still really don't. So it's, your brain is just like running a different like program in the back all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So I've had little fits and starts of creativity in this time, but I would say like I don't write any music, like no melodies, but I've been writing. A lot of our music comes from my poems.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I'm trying to harness and catch is poetry. I also am things are much more fruitful if I'm in a poetry workshop with other people. A little bit of like shame and helps, you know, you have to read this in front of people and you have a deadline, that helps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, my relationship with creativity, like I feel like I have this sort of idea that creativity is something to figure out.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's like this like puzzle, like a Rubik's Cube that I keep wanting to just turn over and work on like endlessly. And so I fry my brain out a lot. Like, and I just like keep working and toiling away at these things, and I don't give my creativity any room to like breathe or, you know, go out and seek some inspiration. And like I don't have there's like a kind of almost like a workaholic-y relationship that I have with creativity, where I think that I have to keep going at it, or else something will be lost or something like that. And, you know, a big inspiration for kind of stepping away from that, or maybe putting that to much better use, was Julia Cameron's The Artist's Way.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So she just writes so beautifully about like how you can incorporate a daily practice, but also like give yourself time and space to like really almost like court and date the artist within yourself, so that you're not like smothering it. And so that was, you know, that's something that I always try to keep a balance of. But yeah, that's kind of this oppressive Rubik's Cube for me.
It feels a lot. I can relate to that, definitely.
That does sound familiar to something Ed would say, actually.
I would. I think I approach it much the same way that you would too. So, which is why it can sometimes either take an hour to write a song or 3 years. So.
Yep. And I love how your creativity it seems like for both of you it's like a very choosy experience for you. It's like you have to really go internal and which is probably why you're so great at what you do, because everything is more methodical. If from what I'm gathering from that.
Oh, that's that's a nice way to put it.
Well, like I said, we have a band crush on you, so it's nothing but love here. And we do have one more question for you, and it's a very we asked this to our guest last week, and Ed still has it in the show notes. So I guess Ed really likes this question that I came up with. It's a very serious question, so you might need to think really hard about this one, but. And it can be made up or it can be something existing. But my question for you both is, if you could have any superpower, what would it be?
yeah, I would 100%. I don't even need to think about it. I would want to fly.
Mm.
Yeah. You?
Teleportation.
Wow.
Yeah. Teleportation is, I don't know if it's like a deep desire as much as the only time I ever think about needing a superpower is needing to be somewhere else, like immediately. Yeah. Teleportation.
Yeah.
I imagine it like.
We've obviously thought of these.
Well, oh yeah. I imagine it more like Nightcrawler style teleportation.
Yeah.
Where, yeah, it's just like poof, poof, rather than like Star Trek beam me up style teleportation. But
For sure.
yeah,
I like that answer too, because it's very opposite to what Rachel said. I hate flying, like in an airplane. I hate it so much. So I would totally love the teleportation personally. Maybe if I had wings, it'd be different.
Maybe, yeah. We're kind of at the end of our interview, but we are so incredibly grateful to you both for joining us today, and
Yes.
I really hope that you can get your songmobile up and running again, because that is one of the coolest ideas I think I've ever seen come out of this situation that we're all in. And I'm looking forward to more of your original music, or whatever you want to do. Just, no pressure. Just do something.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Where can everybody find you at?
Yeah, so our website is thesingerandthesongwriter.com, and that will lead you all the places. We're on all the streaming things, or you can purchase the music, Instagram, but that main website will get you everywhere.
Okay, and we're after we say goodbye and everything, we're gonna play the your cover of Blues Run, the game, the video, and I understand that any purchases for that go to a specific charity. Do you want to tell a little more about that?
Yeah. So all of the proceeds will go to the Loveland Foundation Therapy Fund.
Okay.
They're an amazing organization that provides free therapy to Black women and girls, and we really believe in what they do.
Yeah.
Listen to the song, buy the song.
Yeah, please do to support that. That's a wonderful cause.
That's amazing.
And thank you for supporting that cause as well. We know we need more mental health support in every community, but in especially those communities.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you both for joining us today. Again, this is Rachel Garcia and Tu Tran, the singer and the songwriter. And we'll post links in the show notes. You can find their stuff. Thank you again, and we hope to talk to you again real soon.
Yeah, so much love to you both.
Bye.
Bye.
All right. Oh man, that was just exciting.
The whole day has been made.
It really has. I was looking forward. I was looking forward to this because we have our wish lists of people that we want, and this was kind of a big get for me, in my opinion. And so because they're just two of the nicest people you'll ever meet, and supremely talented.
Yep. And that story was exactly the kind of story that we were really hoping people would tell, just stuff that happens on the road that especially you don't even think about, and especially the random acts of kindness. It's just fills my heart to hear stuff like that, especially right now when we're getting a lot of the opposite of that.
Yeah, exactly. And I agree with you, Ash. Like, it's that you have been saying that for a while, that when, if you want to kind of restore your faith in humanity, go on tour and, in a sense, what we would say to people who aren't musicians or whoever, just travel, go to different places that you may not have gone to before, meet those people, and you'll see the same thing that we have, is that a lot of people are decent.
Yeah, and or, be the opposite. Invite someone into your home.
Yeah, that also.
You know, you don't know how that's going to affect you too, and just that being that act of kindness, if you're not able to travel, to offer the opposite side of it can be a really beautiful thing too. I mean, we've sparked some wonderful, long-lasting relationships with people that we stay with on the road, and we'll specifically like route our tours like, oh, let's go here so we could stay with Michelle again.
Yeah,
It's
that's a
like-
great point.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we get excited to see those people and, maybe meet new friends of theirs. And, we make new friends through those people, over and over again.
Yep.
So, yeah, hearing stories like what Rachel and Tu went through there is like, yeah, okay, there are still decent people out there in the world.
Yep.
So, with that said, we are going to feature their video. They cover Jackson C. Frank's Blues Run the Game. They do a wonderful version of it.
Catch a boat to England, baby, maybe to Spain. Wherever I've gone, wherever I've been and gone, wherever I've gone, the blues are all the same. Send out for whiskey, baby, send out for gin. Me and room service, honey. Me and room service, babe. Me and room service, while we're living the life of sin. And I'm not drinking, baby. You are on my mind. When I'm not sleeping, honey. When I ain't sleeping, mama. When I'm not sleeping, well, you know you'll find me crying. Try another city, baby, another town. Wherever I've gone, wherever I've been and gone, wherever I've gone, the blues come following down. Living is a gamble, baby, loving's much the same. Wherever I've played, wherever I throw them dice, wherever I've played, the blues have run the game. Maybe tomorrow, honey, someplace down the line, I'll wake up older, so much older, mama. I'll wake up older, and I'll just stop all my trying. Catch a boat to England, baby, maybe to Spain. Wherever I've gone, wherever I've been and gone, wherever I've gone, the blues are all the same.
All right. All right. And that was Blues Run the Game, originally written by Jackson C. Frank and performed there by Rachel Garcia and Tu Tran, the singer and the songwriter. Just a wonderful version of that song.
Now you can see why Ed loves her voice so much. Or here. Now you
Yeah.
can hear why.
It's one of the best voices I've heard in a long time.
Yeah.
So please go and support them. I'm not sure if they have their stuff on Bandcamp. I have to check. But
I think I found it. I put it in the link. but
Oh,
I'm not
okay.
sure.
Okay, awesome. Oh, yeah, there it is. You won't find that song on there because Bandcamp doesn't allow covers. So you can go to like iTunes or whatever to buy the song and support the charity. But yeah.
So
Good
we're going to
stuff.
move on to our request segment, and the 2 requests that we have time for have already been filled. So if you have another request and you'd like to hear it in either Thursday's music show or next week's show, feel free to throw a request out to us at any time. We will write it down and we'll put it into the segment for next week. So also, please do subscribe to us. Our podcast is on Spotify, iTunes, Stitcher, Podbean, and I don't know, a million
It's in
other
a
places.
bunch more places now than it was like a week ago. So
Basically, anywhere you listen to your podcast will probably be there. If you could subscribe, and if you could leave us a review, that also really, really helps us out. And hopefully it's a positive review. Or, if you like to watch us live, we go live. We do this podcast live on Sundays at 1 p.m. And we're very, very happy to have y'all watching with
Yeah.
us. So let's do some music. Woo! This first one is an original song requested by Alice Williams. This is off of our album, The Anchor, and the song is called Burn the Roses. Are you ready, Ed?
1 second. Yes,
can't-
I'm ready.
I can't see him. This is something I need him to be ready for. All dressed up in shades of black, dark sunglasses, don't look back. I still smell the burning heart. I guess till death do us part. Burn the roses to the ground. Plant the ashes 6 feet down. Watch my fire put you out. Burn the roses to the ground. Take these flowers from the grave, throw them in this dying flame, lie inside the bed you made, say goodbye, I walk away, burn the roses to the ground, plant the ashes 6 feet down, watch my fire put you out, burn the roses to the ground, smoke fills the air, it's hard to breathe, I'm choking on your memory, one of us will come out alive, so rest in peace tonight.
6 feet down. Watch my fire put you out. Burn the roses to the ground. Burn the roses to the ground. Plant the ashes 6 feet down. Watch my fire put you out. Burn the roses to the ground. 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 Burn the roses. Burn the roses. Cool. I haven't done that in so long.
I know. This is partly why I like this request segment, because I swear I look at our set list and it's long, right? It's a big set list. We have a lot of songs we do, and I don't know why, but I look at this thing and I only see like 5 songs. It's so weird. So when you guys throw out your requests, I'm like, oh yeah. I mean, it's right there on the set list, but I just wouldn't think to do it for some reason. So thank you, Alice, for requesting that song. It's fun to do the stuff we don't do very often.
And the second one we got in was No Surprises.
From Itzo.
Nice. Thank you, Itzo. This is a cover of a Radiohead tune off of my favorite album of theirs, OK Computer. That was the first one I heard. That's a tendency with me. Like the first album I hear from a band is typically my favorite.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's true for everybody when they get if you become a fan of somebody's music. I don't know if that's true for everybody, but is that true for you? Like the first album you hear becomes the favorite of the band you eventually become a favorite of?
Not always, but I have to think about that. That's
Yeah.
actually a really good question, and I don't know, because I know like Ingrid Michaelson was popped in my head because when I heard her album, I absolutely loved it, which is it's the one with the dolls on it. I can't remember the name of it. I'll have to look it up. But that was the first one I got, and I absolutely fell in love with Ingrid after that. But then she came out a few years later with Human again, which is a much more produced and polished record, but not like over the top. Like she kind of, in my opinion, her latest stuff is a little bit too much for me, but this was kind of a healthy balance, and I just love and live and breathe that album. So, but then, of course, there's the other side of that, which is Ray LaMontagne. I mean, I think my favorite album will always be Trouble. That's such a beautiful album, just through and through. So, yes and no.
Yeah, I think if it's that's mostly what happens for me. But yeah, I think that I have some exceptions to that. But like Blitz and Trapper, the first album I heard of theirs was my favorite.
Yeah.
Fleet Foxes, Radiohead, Laura Marling, everybody. As I've heard the one album, like, oh, that's cool. And then none of the other stuff they do is like even as good to me, because I'm like, it's not that first album that I heard. So
I wonder if anyone feels that way about us. About our I don't think so. I think everyone.
wonder.
I think we took a poll once, and I think everyone still likes The Anchor the most. Although I know a few, like I know Itzo likes Vulnerable the best, and so, then there's a couple votes in there for Music Monster. So I don't know.
But I'd be curious if that was the first album that you all have heard.
Yeah. Oh, that's true. Like maybe that wasn't the first album they heard.
Yeah, that's what I'd be curious about.
Yeah. Good question.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's do some Radiohead.
All right. Let's do it. All right. Let's try this. not all up there. All right. A heart that's full up like a landfill, a job that slowly kills you, bruises that won't heal. You look so tired, unhappy, bring down the government. They don't speak for us. I'll take the quiet life, a handshake of carbon monoxide with no alarms and no surprises, no alarms and no surprises, no alarms and no surprises. Silent. This is my final fate, my final bellyache with no alarms and no surprises, no alarms and no surprises, no alarms and no surprises, please. Such a pretty house and such a pretty garden, no alarms and no surprises, no alarms and no surprises, no alarms and no surprises, please.
Nice job, Ed.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you. I was excited when we started doing that song. I can't remember. I feel like that was one of the things we just didn't rehearse. We just kind of jumped in and started doing it.
Yeah, I think so. It might have been on the list for a while, and then one day we're like, oh, let's just do it. Which happens a lot with what we do. So.
Yep. All right. So once again, if you guys want to hear something next week or on Thursday for our music show, feel free to message us or throw it in the chat, and we'll remember to do it for y'all then. But I think it's time to move on to tips and tricks.
Nice.
That's the only section I'm singing anymore. Did you notice?
I did notice that.
In our first show, I sang everything because I was overexcited. And now I'm just excited.
Oh, man.
But this one, I think I mentioned it in last week's episode, and I was like, oh, we should talk about this in some episode, and I was like, oh, well, let's talk about it in next week's episode.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, why not? And it's something, if you guys have, well, there's I think this is a great segment for musicians in particular, because if you are trying to figure out how to get endorsement opportunities, this is for you. And if you are curious on how we got our endorsement opportunities, this is also for you. What is an endorsement? And I'm using endorsement as the word of choice. You can also call it a sponsorship, I guess, or a collaboration. I'm not really sure what the official word is. I think it depends on what it is, on who you're working with, and also what the company prefers to call it, if anything at all. So basically, that means that you team up with a brand of some sort, and there's a few things can happen. They're going to sorry, I'm pulling up my notes here.
Notes.
Hold on.
Notes.
Okay, I thought I hit something on the recording. This is live, but I thought I hit stop on my recording. I was like, no. Anyway, the background, I forgot where I was, so I'm going to start over. Our background on endorsements is Ed and I have had sponsorships and endorsements with Subaru Europe, Martin Guitars, Avian Guitars, Sunburst Gear, Eddie Finn ukuleles, and then on top of that, I've had some personal sponsorships and endorsements with, and I was supposed to look up the names. I can't. It was a long time ago that I had these two, but I had, I think it was Honest Tea, and then there's a big nutrition bar that you guys would know, Zone Perfect. That was it, Zone Perfect, and then most recently, like as in last week, I teamed up with a brand called Susie Stone Jewelry for something else. So I will get into all of that, but first I want to talk about the different types of endorsements that there are. As I mentioned, there are collaborations first and foremost, and what that is a company that you team up with is going to send you their product for free, and you accept this product, and there's no money exchange, and in return you do the work. So you take a picture, or you take a little video, and you talk about the product in all of your socials, whether that be, and you work out what that's going to be with the company, whether it's Facebook or Instagram or YouTube or just whatever, blog post, anything. And it's great because then the company gets the product and the pictures and the write-ups from you, and then you get this cool free product. So that's a collaboration. There's also a lot of companies who are larger will do this one, and this is specifically also in the music world. So I'm talking about like Martin Guitars, for example, or bigger or Blue microphones. You can get endorsement deals with the bigger brands. If you're an indie musician, more than likely they're going to give it to you at wholesale. So you're still going to have to pay something. But what's cool about it is you get this cool piece of equipment for like a fraction of the price, and it's brand new. You still have to do all the same work as you would for a collaboration. The problem is they may not do anything in return. So they want you to put their name out there, but they're not necessarily going to do the same thing for you in return. Now, if whatever picture or video you take is amazing, they might. So I highly recommend that whatever you post is like magazine quality ready, which I will discuss more about in a little bit. The last kind of sponsorship is the one that we all can aim for, and that is a paid sponsorship. So what this means is they're going to send you the product for free, and they're also going to pay you to talk about it. If you're a bigger artist, this is definitely something that's going to happen for you. The indie artist, this is a little bit more difficult to seek. It's actually really big in the world of Instagram right now, though, and particularly, like I haven't seen it yet so much for the music world, but I have to dive into that a little bit further. But I know like the Instagram influencer marketing is huge, as well as like even TikTok and blog posts. I mean, whatever, the brands are going to send you their stuff and they're going to pay you a little bit of money, and you can find out how much to charge through socialbluebook.com, you're really going to want to put together a professional proposal. Like, this is, if you're going to do this, you have to treat it like a business. Like, you're, and people say to me often, well, like, why would they do that? Well, what do you mean, why would they do that? They're going to have to pay a photographer, $500 to $1,000 to take a nice photo of their thing, or they can just hire an influencer for a couple $100 to do the same thing, and then they also get the plug on their end too. So it's actually a pretty good deal, and these do exist and they are out there, especially, like I said, for the Instagram world. So even if it's non-music related, you can still do something like this. So the biggest thing though is you want to make sure that the product is right for your brand and vice versa. So don't pitch to the wrong people. Like, Witherword, when we went after Subaru, because we drove a Subaru and we had a series called Songs from a Subaru. Like, it wouldn't work as well if we've got all this footage of us driving a Subaru around and then we pitched to Nissan. So you really have to know what you're after. Like, Witherword is an indie folk band, so we're not going to go after like a bass company, or you just know your audience, and you don't want to just like try and get endorsements just to get the endorsements. You want to make sure that they're working for you, and that that's something that you really want and are going to use, because you also, if you get the endorsement in and they send you the product and it just sits there and you do nothing with it, that does not look very good. And as I said earlier, whatever you post, whatever you do with your product, you want to make sure it's magazine quality, because, and this is something that even Witherword made a mistake on. Like, I look at some of our earlier stuff, with some of our earlier collaborations that we did, and I mean, there's some selfies and there's some like just phone pictures are fine, but make sure you're using your pro settings and make sure that they look really good and the lighting is right, because if they're blown out, I mean, they're just not going to promote you in return. And that's definitely something that you want, because again, you want to make the endorsement work for you just as much as you're working for the endorsement. Okay, so I want to move on to how to find them. How do you find an endorsement? Well, unfortunately, during a pandemic, this first one is going to be a little bit harder to obtain, but I would note it for future years, because one of the biggest things that we did is to look for our endorsements as we went to conferences with showroom floors. So the biggest example of that is NAMM. And the best endorsement we got out of NAMM was this beautiful Avian acoustic guitar that I play. We got a little bit lucky on this one because we happened to know a guy who introduced us to the company. That definitely helps, because I mean, he brought us down. He's like, let me go introduce you to Avian Guitars. You need to go you need to play one of their guitars. I'm going to help you get an endorsement. So definitely helps to know somebody, right? He took us down there. They talked to us. They found out how much we're touring. I mean, especially at that time, we were playing 300 shows out a year. So that was really interesting to them. So they definitely signed the deal with us. We've done the same, though, at South by Southwest. We walked around their showroom floor once, and there we found this really cool speaker company. And I was, again, talking about something you want to make sure you're interested in the product. Like, we saw this speaker company, and I was like, it's Bluetooth and wireless. And I immediately thought of all the different ways that we could use this. And I was like, okay, Ed, this is something that we should go after. So I asked them if they had a card, and I asked them if they do artist endorsements, and they said yes. And we ended up working out a collaboration, and they sent us speakers, and they loved us. They kept wanting to work with us in the future. In fact, again, talk about making a company work for you. Or making an endorsement work for you, excuse me. We ended up contacting them later and asked them if they needed some demo musicians for their booth at NAMM. And they said yes. So they gave us passes. So we were able to attend NAMM and get more endorsements from other companies while we were there. So it was fantastic. And have a little showcase at NAMM, which was kind of chaotic. But another great way to find endorsements is just good old-fashioned Google. So think about what you need. Think about what you want. Are you looking for a new microphone? Maybe you don't want to just go out and buy one. Maybe you want to look up the microphone companies that you're interested in and see if they have artist endorsements, because I bet you they do. Excuse me 1 second. So much to talk about. Such a dry throat. So let's say you need a new microphone and you want a Blue microphone. If you go on the Blue website, often they'll even have an artist endorsement submission page that you can fill out and send to them, which is fantastic because you don't have to hunt it down. Sometimes you're going to have to hunt down the right contact person or the right email address. You can do that by sending them a Facebook message. You can send them an Instagram message. You can send them 18 emails because they probably won't return your first 17. And just ask who you need to talk to and what the right email is, or call. Honestly, like picking up the phone is huge. Like nobody calls anymore. I hate calling. It takes me a lot to do that. But if I really, really want the endorsement, I'm going to pick up the phone. I'm going to call, because you get somebody on the phone and they're just going to give it to you right there versus waiting for them to respond to an email that they probably don't have a lot of time to respond to. I'd mentioned earlier that having that contact for the avian guitar, somebody who was able to do the introduction for us, was huge. So ask your friends. Ask around and see if you, or just think about it. I mean, you might know somebody who works for a company that is looking for artist endorsements, or they don't even know they're looking for it, and they can help you make an introduction to somebody, you know. A really good example of this is 2010. I went on a solo tour way before Witherword existed, right? And I went to Sundance Film Festival, and I went to South by Southwest, and just as Ashley Norton Music. And I needed sponsorship to get there because it was very expensive to show up to these places. So I ended up asking around my friends and family, and I put together a proposal. And I wanted my band to come with me. And I was like, I'm not making enough at these shows to be able to afford this trip, but I think this is a really good opportunity for us. So I put together this proposal and I sent it out to everybody I knew, including like the most random people, because you never know. Well, my uncle ended up getting back to me, which is not something that he would just openly do, but it seemed like he was actually interested. And he asked me that if I would put his company name on all my tour posters, and he would give me a little bit of money to do so. And so that worked out really great. I was able to afford getting my entire band to both Sundance and South by Southwest for these two festivals, which was pretty cool. And it worked out great for him because he got a little exposure as well. Another way you can find companies is look on socials via hashtags. I mentioned earlier that I did a collaboration with Susie Stone Jewelry. Actually, I'm wearing one of her necklaces right now. Go figure. This has nothing to do with music. My Instagram page is like a quarter about music. The rest of it's about vintage fashion and hiking. And it's something fun that I have. And also I'm a content creator and I'm looking for more companies like this. So I found Susie Stone through a hashtag. I think it was like vintage jewelry, and she came up. So I messaged her and I said, I'm looking for a collaboration for my page. If you send me some of your jewelry, I'll take some photos with it and do a blog post about it and see where we can go. And she got very excited and she jumped on board and she sent me some really beautiful pieces, and I did a really beautiful spread for her, and everybody was happy. So there's a lot of that out there. Again, with eventually my goal is to start getting paid for this. So that does exist. If you go to socialbluebook.com, you can find out how much to charge depending on how many followers you have. That goes for YouTube as well. They do a few different platforms to kind of help you out with that. I love when you get to the point of the show where you have to talk a lot and your voice just completely dries out. Okay, so actually, you know what? Let's go ahead and pull up the example email, Ed.
Okay.
I want to move on to that for a minute.
Oops. There we go.
Okay, so we're going to go ahead and put this in the show notes. So I highly recommend that you guys head over to the show notes after this. If you're interested and you want to know more, especially if you're a musician. This is a really good email template. I would not send your proposal out in your first email to the company because often it'll go to their junk mail. So email them and ask them if it's okay if I send you the proposal. Get the email out to them first. So this says, "Dear contact name, my name is blank and I manage my band blank." Or if you're not a musician, you can say, "My name is so-and-so and I'm looking for blah, blah." Insert a short bio here, followed by a call to action. So example is, "Our duo has been on tour internationally and nationally for the past 5 years. We'd love to discuss an endorsement sponsorship opportunity with Subaru Europe," let's say. It's really important that you tell them what you are going to do for them, not what they are going to do for you. Like, why do they want to work with you? And you have to put some of your social media stats in there. Now, I got Witherword, a Subaru endorsement with like 1,700 followers on Instagram, 3,000 followers on Facebook. So it's not the most important thing, but they're going to want to know that you're out there and pushing stuff. And I also like to drive home, like, okay, I know we have, and you don't want to say I have a small amount of followers, but you want to say my followers are really engaging. Our brand is excited to take your brand with us, not only on national, but also international tours. So this is what's going to be interesting to them because, like I said, we were playing about 300 shows a year all over the place. So where our socials, that is important to them. The more important point for us in particular was that we were on tour so much and out in the world so much. Or, talk about, obviously, if we're not on tour. So I would say now we host a podcast called Crimes Against Folk. We'd love to show our audience how important your brand is to our audio needs. Let's say we were looking for something audio related. Here's where I insert some social stats. Our brand has especially been successful working with a target audience of 65% men and 35% women. You can find these stats under your Insight button on both your Facebook page and your Instagram page. I'm not sure about YouTube. I'm sure it's there too. Between the ages of 25 and 55. I'd like to talk about specific ways we can reach this audience for you. Again, make it about them. And this is just an example and a template. You're going to want to change this and again, make it work for you. So would you be able to send me the email address of your marketing director so I may send them my proposal? So again, you want to make sure they know that you have a proposal. This is not it. This is an introduction email. Or I'd love a chance to send you a proposal if you've already emailed to say you've already found the email address of the person you need to talk to. Is this the right place to send it to? Where would be a good time to set up a meeting? Any of those kind of things would work. Sincerely, put your name, put your number, put your email, put your website and your socials. All that stuff really helps. So that is a template that has worked for me. Followed by, Ed, if you want to go ahead and pull up sorry, I can't see what you're doing because I'm just kind of charging through this, but when you get a chance, if you can pull up the partnership proposal.
It's up there.
Okay. This is the actual proposal that I sent out to Subaru Europe that landed us the Subaru Europe deal. It was, I guess, a collaboration with them. They gave us a car for 1.5 months that we took around Europe with us, which was absolutely fantastic. You can see I made a fancy graphic at the top. The more professional you make it look, the more serious they're going to take you. I put their logo with our photo so they could see what it would look like to be paired with us, kind of a thing is what I was going for there. And then I have our bio and also what our plan is, what we're going to be doing up top. So you can kind of read through that. Followed by some photos. I did a mix of live photos, a I did a photo from a professional photo shoot we had. You can see there's another photo of Ed and I with Subaru gear on. So this really helps if you do a lot of pre-work, things like this that you can send to them. So let's say you are pitching to Blue microphones. So I'm using Blue as an example because I'm looking at it. But this would be a perfect thing to send to them. Take a little picture of myself with the Blue microphone, but I'm looking for this. I love Blue microphones, as you can see, and then send them the picture so they know what you look like with their product. That is really important. Another really important thing is to get quotes in your proposal from other people. It doesn't necessarily have to be related to other brands, just something so they know that other people love you. You can see I've found a quote here from a venue that we worked with in Boulder in Nevada. And I actually had to email him and say, hey, can you send me a little quote? I asked a few people to do that for us, and they did. And then also we got some great quotes from reviews and stuff that I've pulled into other things. So here you can see the proposal. I laid it out for them, what our offer includes, like what we're going to give them. Again, I'm not going to bother going through exactly what we did for Subaru because it's going to look very different. Just get creative. What do you want? I want a Blue microphone, and in return I'll give you, X amount of plugs through through X amount of podcasts or whatever. Just think about what you want and put that in the proposal, and also put in, again, what you are going to do for them, and make that the most important thing. I can also, anything additional that you can put in here is great. So for us, we were really trying to sell the point that we were going on this big tour. So as you can see, I put all of our shows in this proposal, as well as who is going to be helping promote us, because we actually had a promoter. We were looking for it. You can see I put in more details on our social insights. That's also important. And then I put in a really long portion, and maybe too long, on something really went down the wrong tube in my throat. I'm sorry. I'm struggling with this this talking portion. Oh, God. I think I have allergies. It's not COVID, I promise. I'm fine. Okay, so you can see I spent a lot of time coming up with why I think that they should work with us. It's not necessary, but we got the sponsorship, so it works. Followed by, this is very specific to us. We had a lot of videos with Subaru in it that included that, and why I think it's important to have influencer marketing kind of a thing. So that, and then of course, all of our social links, a way to contact me, and a thank you at the end. So we're going to put this in our show notes, and you guys can take a browse through that, and you are welcome to copy us if you would like. We're putting this in here to help you, or if you're interested, so you can read it. When to follow up. A general rule is I follow up in about 6 to 8 days. If I don't hear back again, I'll follow up in 4 days, and then a third in another 4 days. After 3, really ask yourself how badly you want the endorsement. If you want it, I've been known to follow up, 15 to 18 times, and I've gotten responses. And after that much, wow, Ashley, nobody responds to us this much. You must really want it. Nobody says, please stop bothering me. Nobody says that. So follow up. Do not be afraid. The squeaky wheel, that's the one that gets the oil. Just remember that. It's absolutely true. You're not going to bother anybody. If you're looking at an email, if you're looking at your inbox, right, and you've got a message, like a full email thing that you have to get to, and there are 4 messages in there from the same person, and all the other messages are from other people, whose email are you going to open up first? Probably the one that's emailed you 4 times. That's the one that's going to catch your eye. So another thing to think about, it's really, really important to do that. Sometimes they don't get back to you at all. If you want to, you can always make a note in your calendar, like follow up with them in 3 months. And then in 3 months, you'll have that little note in your calendar, like, oh, I should message them again. That's also worked for us where we've been turned down. And I'm like, you know what? Let's message them again in some months and see what happens. And they've come through. Okay. How to make endorsements work for you. I know I said this before and I'm saying it again because I think the most important thing that you can get from this is, as a musician in particular, your fans are going to be really excited. You're going to be really excited. It's cool to have a company be like, yeah, I believe in you. I love what you're doing. I want to work with you. That's a big deal. And again, your fans are going to be really excited about it too. So don't forget to make big announcements. We have a big announcement, you guys. We have partnered with blah, blah, blah. Tag them in every single post that the product appears in. Every single one. Talk about them a little bit. The more you mention them, the higher of a chance you're going to get that they're going to mention you, which is only going to bring you more fans, return business from the product, also other business from other products that are like, yeah, I want to work with you too. Dedicated posts really help. And then just kind of like a soft mention later in many posts will also help. So I mentioned earlier about making sure your everything you post is magazine quality. So make sure you're using either a pro camera or the pro settings on your phone. You can do it with the selfies and things like that. I mean, we've gotten stuff like that. But again, just anything extra that you're doing is really, really going to help. So make sure you have a mix of stuff too. Put yourself in the photo with the product. Also, just take photos of the product. And you can send, you don't have to post all of these on your socials. You can send it to them too. They also might want to work out with you a certain amount, like, hey, I'll give you 5 photos. And they may say we want 7. They may say we just want 3. But the more interesting it is, the more they're going to reshare your stuff and request you to do more for them in the future. Okay. Brands to look for, anything. I mean, we've partnered with hotels. I left that out of my earlier mention, but we've had hotels brand with us. So look for hotels, clothing, jewelry, cars. Musicians, look for cables, instruments, recording gear, shakers, strings, capos, microphones, picks, stands, like literally everything. If there's a company out there that exists, chances are they're looking for people to be spokespeople for their product. So don't forget, if you don't ask, you're not going to get anything. Don't be afraid to ask. The worst thing that's going to happen is they're going to say no. Now, I know nobody likes rejection, but if you don't put yourself out there, you're never going to get it back. So it's just ask. You just have to ask. Some of the people that I've listened to and received templates from and advice that I would really trust, that I'm going to tell you to also look up, buy their books, listen to their podcasts, just anything they do, soak it in, because it really, really helped me. Simon Tam wrote a book on endorsements. It's wonderful. I highly recommend it. Amanda Palmer has a book called The Art of Asking that's absolutely beautiful, really, really motivating. And our indie hero himself, Ari Herstand, also has a book about basically anything and everything under the sun, including, I think, endorsements. So with that, I'm going to wrap this up. Hopefully that was helpful for you guys. If you have any questions and you're watching live, feel free to ask them in the Q&A or reach out to me separately later. I'm happy to help you with whatever you need help with, or take a look at your proposal, or just anything you need. Don't feel free to reach out anytime.
Well done.
That was so hard. I had like this serious allergy attack right before that segment. I know, it was really frustrating. But I made it through.
No, that was great. There's a lot of very good info in there. So yeah, be sure to
Oh,
keep an eye on the
thank
show
you.
notes, and we'll throw some of that info in there and the templates and everything. So,
Yep.
so does anyone have any? Were there any questions? We'll pick a couple of questions to go over about this, or about the singer and the songwriter, or about us, or about whatever. Let us know if you have a question about something.
Yep. Rob Chadwell is watching live right now, and he's making jokes about liquor endorsement deals. But jokes aside, you can definitely get liquor endorsement deals.
Kidding?
Do not be afraid to ask for anything. In fact, Simon Tam, who I mentioned, his band was actually endorsed by a sake company.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's right.
So it's totally possible.
Yeah.
Anything, if you can dream it, it's possible.
Yeah, there are a lot of brands out there, big and small. So I think, if you're shooting for the big brands and there's nothing happening, look for the smaller competitors. It's very possible you might make more headway with them, and also you might develop a more personal relationship with them too, which is, I think, so as they grow, you grow with them. That's sometimes one of the hopes of getting in with a small company. So.
Yeah, I actually really like working with the small companies because they're going to more eagerly share your material too. Like how I talked about, some of the larger companies do not guarantee that they're going to share anything, so you have to work a little bit harder for them to be noticed. The small companies will, they're thirsty for content, and they're thirsty to work with, like Ed said, like start with the company and grow together, and that's definitely possible.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have time for a couple questions. If you guys have any questions, or like I said, feel free to throw them out there or message me privately if you have more questions about endorsements or whatever.
Yeah, I was throwing some little thingies there in the chat.
I have
along the way.
I have one question here.
Oh,
It's again from Rob.
Band Lab?
Yeah, from Band Lab. It's from Rob Chadwell, and says specifically for Ed. He said, I just watched the Dragon video, and I have a question. When did Ed realize he was a producing badass?
I think, honestly, getting through this podcast without any major catastrophes.
That's when? Just recently?
To be perfectly honest, that's when I'm like, okay, I'm not too bad at operating pulling a thing together. Music, still a work in progress.
So basically, he's very delayed in this realization. I don't think he's realized it yet. I think the rest of us already know.
I mean, the audio stuff Ash and I do together, I may run a lot of the controls, but as far as the sonic stuff goes, as far as what you hear and how it's balanced, that's something Ash and I do together. So the fact that I'm at the controls means nothing. So what you hear is a joint effort. So I think we both share any accolades that people would give us for producing, because we're both involved in it.
By default.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of how it is. We're both we both work on this together because we have to. It wouldn't get done otherwise.
Yeah, I mean,
because we both have a different set of ears is the thing, and that's why what you hear sounds so good. It's because it's the average, it's the sum of what we both hear. So
Yeah, okay. I'll give you that.
Because and there's a specific example when
Okay.
I always mix background vocals too high.
Like, oh, yeah.
That's
Yeah, you
that's
do.
how I know that we both do this. I mix them too high because that's where I like them, but that's not what a song calls for most of the time with what we're doing.
I like them buried.
Yeah.
To me, unless it's very specifically supposed to be a duet or
like
a
a choral
trio,
thing or
yeah, or something.
Yeah.
To me, background vocals are meant to lift the main vocal, and there are instances where that's not the case, but for sure. But I'm so sensitive to blend and when they're all like right up front like that. I mean, there's no way two voices. I mean, even Ed and I, who we blend so well together,
Yeah.
it's never going to be perfect, and I need it to be perfect. But that said, yeah, I mean, I think I definitely have more to do with the vocal production of our albums, and Rob Chadwell, who asked the question, knows that because he's worked with me a lot. Like, I can give a lot of feedback as far as vocals, but as far as instrumentation, I not as much. So that part is mainly Ed, and then I kind of come in at the end, and I'm like, no, you got to turn those vocals down. Or up. Sometimes it's up,
Yeah.
but rarely.
But thank you nonetheless for the wonderful compliment.
Well, since Ed doesn't know it, I'll tell him you are a producing badass, by the way. And
Thank you.
yeah, Ed's produced literally all of our albums, and I think they all sound absolutely fantastic. And I guess, yeah, well, we produce them together, but he engineers them for sure.
Yeah.
And I think I don't know, just finding the thing that I really like about your productions, Ed, is you find the small nuances that just little tiny things that you'll put into, and I've learned from you with that as well, but you find these little tiny things to put into a song that like might only happen once for 1 second, but it just lifts the song to a completely different place.
Yeah, those are the fun things. Things that little thing that happens only once. You know, that's what makes you want to listen to the song again.
Yeah.
You know, that for me, because I could get stuck doing something, putting the same section of a song over and over and over again because I really love that section of the song. So when I'm producing a song, I do that on purpose, like do it as few times as possible, or once, you know, so that you have a reason to listen to the song. So
Yeah. I think that's a good trick too.
yeah.
I do like doing stuff like that. Like, no, that was great, but we're not going to do it again because we're going to make them listen to the song again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Well, shall we wrap this up with a song?
Yeah, let's do that. We can do that. Let me grab my...
Oh, God, can I sing this right now? My voice just completely stopped working.
Do you want to do that one, or do you want to do a different one?
I think that we should save that one for next week because
Okay.
I'm not even going to tell. No, you know what? I can do it.
All right. It's up to you.
I can do it, and if I stop singing, we'll just do a different one. But since this was just brought up in conversation, it does feel like a good song to end with. Speaking of the dragon. We need a tiny piano, though, from Ed still. this. Feels like something inside of me fills me with ease till I hardly breathe. It cannot be tamed. It spits out its rage with thick, bright flames. It comes when I see red to take its revenge. Won't stop till you're dead. You have some fire to choke on. You think you can cope on to put out your smoke on. The dragon inside of me is when I don't wanna be. The madness I share with the mask that I wear. If you don't believe, I don't give a damn. The dragon inside of me is who I really am. Don't turn out the lights. Don't shut your eyes. Don't give in to the night. Don't call me a liar. Put a monster to shame. You'll feel the fire. I'm starting to turn. Well, you'll finally learn when you feel the burn. Now I'm hot to the touch. I think that I like this a little too much. The dragon inside of me is when I don't wanna be. The madness I share with the mask that I wear. If you don't believe, I don't give a damn. The dragon inside of me is who I really am. Dragon inside of me is when I don't wanna be. The madness I share with the mask that I wear. If you don't believe, I don't give a damn. The dragon inside of me is who I really am. The dragon inside of me is when I don't wanna be. The madness I share with the mask that I wear. If you don't believe, I don't give a damn. The dragon inside of me is who I really am. The dragon inside of me is who I really am. The dragon inside of me is who I really am. The dragon inside of me is who I really am.
Yay, you did it.
I feel like life's cruelest joke is that I can't talk, but I can sing.
Maybe it was a curse put on you as a child.
Yeah,
by,
like I dare you to be articulate and like speak without having an allergy attack. But don't worry, you could say. I should have just sang that entire endorsement portion.
Oh wow, yeah. So the next tips and tricks you do will be a short, what is it, operetta?
Yeah. Oh, I was thinking jazz, but opera's better.
Either one is fine. I guess.
I mean, jazz makes more sense because the songs go on for a really long time.
That's true. Yeah, we could. Yeah, I could just kind of loop a chord progression and you'll be okay for the next 25 minutes.
By the way, there's a couple of funny comments in here from Band Lab. So Rob says, I bet this is the first time Band Lab has seen a live bass solo. and then Everton says probably the first time BL has seen a bass.
Yeah. Well, it's the bass solo when everyone starts talking, so I bet that's...
Well, not in jazz. Jazz is the cool thing.
That's where I got it from. That's the joke I got. You asked. I got that from Roger, I think.
Oh, okay.
It's a bass solo when people start talking.
Roger is a bass player, so that makes sense. That was a fantastic solo, Ed.
Thank you.
Fantastic bass solo.
No, that is funny, though. But I guess probably are not very many bass players on Band Lab, at least none that would admit it.
Yeah, which, by the way, Ed is for hire.
I am.
Yeah, we are, once again, we are live from two different states. Ed's in Arizona. I'm in California. We were able to get rid of our Wi-Fi lag using Jamulus. However, that does mean that like Ed and I are synced up, but everything else is on about a 10-second delay or something like that.
Yeah, just the internet for you.
Yep.
So, but that's our show for today.
Yeah.
Thanks to everyone for tuning in to the live stream, listening, chatting, donating. We really appreciate it. Thanks once again to our very special guest, Rachel N2, the singer and the songwriter. We will put links to their stuff in the show notes so you can find them. Please go support them, especially their brand new release. Goes to the proceeds go to support charity. So please give them a listen. I know you will love what you hear.
Yep.
And we will be editing this down and releasing it on Tuesday to wherever you listen to podcasts. So be sure to look us up on your favorite podcast app. Search for Crimes Against Folk. Give us a subscribe and a follow. Leave a review if you feel so inclined. And join us again. If you want to check out the podcast recording, we're doing this every Sunday. Got some really fun guests coming up as well. Again, Rick and Laura Hall are on the docket. Randy Driscoll is coming up, a wonderful artist from Nashville and San Diego.
I'm so excited about these people.
Yeah. And we're also having Carol Pacey and Andy Barunda from Carol Pacey and the Honey Shakers, two shining bright lights in the industry. We really love those two.
Yeah.
So please check all that info out. Look for the show notes. And we will be doing a music stream on Thursday, 5 p.m. Pacific, so it's just a chill 1-hour request stream. So if you want to check us out and see the music that we play, join us at the same location, and we'll hang with you there.
Yeah, we're great at playing music. Much better than we are at talking. So. Can we edit out my allergy attack for the Spotify release? That would be great. Fantastic.
We
Just do
can-
what you can.
we could do that. I'll use my allergy plug-in.
Love you guys. Thanks for tuning in. And
Thanks, everyone.
Stay safe out there. Have a beautiful rest of your Sunday. And we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye-bye.